Welcome into Fast Break Friday for the weekend of February 1st and February 2nd, 2025. This is Vol Society's exclusive college football weekend preview show featuring our Vols, the Lady Vols, the SEC, and games across the nation. We have finally exited out of January. Well, actually, we got one more day of January as you watch it, but when we get back into action, it'll be February and 1 month away from March Madness. Season's going quick, and a lot of games to still play, and some question marks for both the Vols and Lady Vols as we will dive into them right now. We begin with our beloved Tennessee Volunteers playing at home once again, and I guess you could say this is kind of the official or unofficial rivalry week in college basketball. You're seeing a lot of rival games, and we'll profile them here in this video. But second game in a row, Tennessee welcomes in another big rival and the fifth-ranked Florida Gators to Thompson-Boling Arena this Saturday at noon Eastern time on ESPN. Last time the Vols and the Gators met down at the O-Dome in Gainesville, it was not a pretty sight for the Tennessee Volunteers. Lost big on the road, but now they come back home. Tennessee now on a two-game losing streak after heartbreaking losses at Auburn last Saturday, and then this past Tuesday dropped a tough one to Kentucky at home. So can Tennessee rebound and get a big-time SEC win? Right now the Vols are 4-4 in SEC play entering this contest. Zakai Ziegler had a bit of a scare in the last game of Kentucky, went out, looked like a serious knee injury in the first half, but was okay, played the entire second half. But where's the Tennessee offense going to have to come from? I mean, is it going to be Zakai Ziegler? We saw Igor Milicic went off Tuesday night. This team is just, kind of paddling through the mud right now, to be honest with you. So can the Tennessee offense get going with Milicic or Ziegler or Lanier? We'll find out. Meanwhile, for Florida, this is one of the top scoring teams in the SEC. Walter Clayton Jr. leads the way for the Gators. And Todd Golden's got this team playing at a pretty high level, ranked number 5 in the SEC, but should be a fun matchup. I know Thompson-Boling is going to be rocking. Checker Thompson-Boling Arena will also be in full attack. So should be fun Saturday at noon on ESPN. The Gators and the Vols. Our beloved Lady Vols will be hitting the road 3 p.m. on the SEC network. This is a Sunday game as the Lady Vols will take on the Missouri Tigers. This is the final game before Tennessee returns back home. It takes on UConn a week from Thursday. So, Kim Caldwell, congratulations to Coach, welcoming in a brand new baby boy, Colton Scott Caldwell. And we saw Coach Caldwell coach her first game this past Monday night against South Carolina. Unfortunately, the Lady Vols dropped that one. Kind of like the men, going to have to start picking up these SEC wins as we are, I guess you could say, the final month in the regular season before we get into March Madness. I know there's a couple of weeks of regular season games before the tournaments really get going, but this is where the wins need to start piling up here for both the guys and the ladies. And we'll see what happens as you're taking on a Missouri team that is struggling in SEC play. So no excuse to lose on the road here if you're the Lady Vols. So we'll see what happens Sunday, 3 o'clock on SEC Plus, the Lady Vols and Mizzou. All right, let's go across the SEC with the guys. We begin at Humphrey Coliseum, 1 o'clock on the SEC Network Saturday, a top 20 showdown. 20th-ranked Missouri taking on 14th-ranked Mississippi State. Missouri, playing very well, still climbing in the top 25. We've mentioned some of their big wins on Fast Break Friday, and now they go on the road, take on Mississippi State. Very similar team to Tennessee, kind of paddling in the mud, if you will. They've dropped a couple in SEC play in the last week, but still hanging in the top 25. Matter of fact, hanging at number 14. They're 4-4 in SEC play, so can Chris Jans get this team going and pick up a home win against Mizzou, or Can Coach Gaines and the Tigers continue their winning ways and still climb up in the polls? We'll find out Saturday. Following the Florida-Tennessee game, 2 o'clock on ESPN, the number 1 team in the nation, the Auburn Tigers, heading to the Pavilion at Ole Miss to take on the 23rd ranked Rebels. As you know, what can you say about Auburn, what they have done? I mean, still playing at a high level. We saw Janai Broome return back for the Tigers last Saturday in the winning effort against Tennessee. Picked up a blowout win against LSU, who's, in my opinion, the worst team in the SEC at this point. Just gonna be a pretty fun atmosphere. I know Ole Miss trying to find a big marquee win this year for Chris Beard and the Rebs. But, and here's an opportunity as you welcome in the number 1 team in the nation. But I'll tell you what, Bruce Pearl and this Tigers club, I don't see a lot of teams stopping this team this year. We'll see what happens. Could we see a court storming, easier for me to say, this Saturday at Oxford? We'll find out as Auburn takes on Ole Miss. All right, moving on. A little easier to say here. 3:30 SEC Network. The 24th ranked Vanderbilt Commodores. That's right. Vanderbilt's in the top 25 after, a huge win last Saturday against Kentucky on their home court. They will head to Norman, Oklahoma to take on those Oklahoma Sooners. It's on the SEC Network. I tell you what, Vandy is just playing very well right now. With they got the 2 big home wins over Tennessee and Kentucky on their resume. A really good Vanderbilt team, kind of an underrated team in college basketball. Of course, the SEC is so loaded this year with Florida and Tennessee and Auburn, Mississippi State, Missouri, Alabama A&M. And, I guess any other year, this Vanderbilt team would have probably had more recognition of their achievements so far, but the SEC is just so heavy this year that they're kind of, unfortunately, an afterthought. But we'll see what happens. And Oklahoma just still trying to make that adjustment to SEC basketball. We've mentioned them before, but we'll see what happens in Norman this Saturday. 4 o'clock ESPN2. We head to T-Town, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. 4th ranked Alabama taking on the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia at one time ranked in the top 25 has dropped some games and and obviously has fallen out of the top 25 and trying to get into the NCAA tournament. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a tough game against Alabama. Obviously I think for Alabama, you picked up a big win on the road against Mississippi State. You're still kind of circling the date with Auburn with your matchup with them. Which right now is probably going to be the game of the year in the SEC, or the most highly anticipated game, but it's still a long ways out. We'll see what happens in this one. I think Bama should be a heavy favorite in this one on Saturday. 2 teams that desperately need a win. Texas at LSU, 6 o'clock on the SEC Network from the Pete Maravich Center in Baton Rouge. Just a couple teams trying to find a win in conference play. LSU to me is probably, in my opinion, probably the worst team in the SEC. Just got blown out at home to Auburn. Texas, just been a disappointing season, but Trey Johnson has been a bright spot for this Texas team. So we'll see what happens coming up Saturday on the SEC Network. And then we wrap up we got 2 more games with the guys, beg your pardon. 8:30 SEC Network, 13th ranked Texas A&M at South Carolina. South Carolina last Saturday took Mississippi State to the wire, sent them to overtime. Unfortunately, lost in a losing effort. So now another opportunity to try to pull out a win at home against Texas A&M. Texas A&M kind of floating under the radar in this heavy SEC race here. Doing a good job. Wade Taylor the fourth, been at A&M forever, but a valuable leader for Buzz Williams' group. So we'll see what happens in this one also. And then the return of John Calipari, Saturday night, 9 o'clock on the SEC Network. I'm sorry, not SEC Network, ESPN, beg your pardon. Coach Cal returns back, taking his Arkansas team into Rupp Arena. Going to be very interested to see and hear the crowd's reactions when Coach K gets back on the floor at Lexington. Kentucky coming off the win with over Tennessee. Jackson Robinson really went off for Kentucky. No Lamont Butler in the last couple of games for the Cats, but with the they had the loss to Vanderbilt, last Saturday, but then a big road win Tuesday. We'll see if they can continue the momentum, and we'll find out and see when Lamont Butler can return for Kentucky. But tell you what, they're still playing well without him, with Robinson and the rest of that team. Kobe Bray had a big game Tuesday night, so we'll see what happens. All right, let's go across the nation, and we'll get you out of here. North Carolina at number 2, Duke, 6 o'clock ESPN from Cameron Indoor Stadium. Carolina has really, I wouldn't say, they played kind of mediocre this year in ACC play, which I guess to them is a struggle. But RJ Davis and the Tar Heels, just trying to find some wins. Meanwhile, for Duke, playing obviously at a very high level, Cooper Flagg and Duke, just I wouldn't say dominating the ACC, but definitely been the most consistent team in the ACC this year. This is definitely a Final Four team. Anytime Duke and Carolina gets together, it's always going to be a close game. We'll see what happens. Obviously, Carolina needs a huge win in this one, but, obviously this is not the only time they're going to meet. They'll meet. They usually meet like right at the end of the regular season. College game day obviously is going to be there Saturday, and we'll see what happens with the Tar Heels and the Blue Devils. 4 o'clock ESPN. A couple Big 12 games we're going to focus here. 11th ranked Kansas on the road in Waco to take on Baylor. Baylor has struggled this year, already with 7 losses. This is kind of the last tune-up game for Kansas before they return back home next Monday night as they welcome in number 3 Iowa State for a big-time, big Monday game on ESPN. But is the Jayhawks looking ahead to Iowa State? I mean, this is another big one of Kansas' biggest rivals in basketball is Baylor in the last few years. Scott Drew and company, they need a big marquee win. They have an opportunity this Saturday and in Waco. And then the other Big 12 game we're going to focus on, and down in Houston, 6th-ranked Houston Cougars welcomes in 22nd-ranked Texas Tech. Texas Tech has climbed into the top 25, doing a fantastic job. This is a game on ESPN2 Saturday. Houston has a loss, I believe, to Kansas already. I'm not sure if they played Iowa State this season so far. I have to check later. The Big 12 with Iowa State and Houston and Kansas have kind of just leading that parade there. And you got some, underrated teams like a West Virginia and UCF has kind of played havoc from time to time. And and Texas Tech, they crawled in there and kind of sneaking some wins, and it can be a huge win on the road Saturday if they pull it out. All right, and then our final game we're going to profile from the Big East. We head to the Pfizer Forum in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 9th-ranked Marquette Golden Eagles welcomes in the 2-time defending national champion, 25th-ranked UConn Huskies. UConn, I guess still in the contention for the three-peat for college basketball. But Dan Hurley and company has dropped some games they probably shouldn't have lost to. But a huge game at the Pfizer Forum, which, is the home of the Milwaukee Bucks. So you're not going to have that home campus environment, even though there's a lot of Big East schools that have home campus arenas, but there are several that play in NBA arenas. Marquette's one of them, like St. John's and Georgetown and, kind of those teams like that. But this is at the Pfizer Forum. Cam Jones, a really good player for Marquette, averaging about 17 points per game, leads the way for the Golden Eagles. And meanwhile for UConn, like I said, big opportunity. They can definitely pull this win on the road, but hey, Shaka Smart and company is playing very well and in first place in the Big East. You also still got St. John's that's kind of breathing down their necks right now, as I believe they're actually tied for first in the Big East right now. But I know Marquette has the, I guess you could say the head-to-head. I don't know if it's a head-to-head win, but a head-to-head placement, if you will. All right, that's going to wrap it up for Fast Break Friday. Hope you enjoy the hoops coming up this weekend. Ball Society will be in Knoxville this Saturday for the Tennessee-Florida game, so definitely check out the Facebook page as we will bring you exclusive content there between the Gators and the Vols, a little checker Thompson Boling. But until next time, this is David Morrison. Enjoy the hoop.